Thank you for joining in. Let's begin by speaking the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamuscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Shri Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpacharurvyash Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namostate Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullaravindaya Tapatra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetrai Kapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Duhe Namaha. Chapter 11 of Bhagavad-gita, Universal Form. Last time we stopped at verse 33. Arjuna asked two questions to Krishna. What were those two questions? Looking at that ferocious form, what were those two questions?
Who are you and what is your mission?
Correct. Who are you and what is your mission? And Krishna said, time I am, and I have come here to destroy everyone except you, the Pandavas, right? And having spoken like that, Lord Krishna then told Arjuna, all these great soldiers, namely Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya, Karna, Jayadratha, they have already been killed by me. You have to simply become an instrument in my hands and fight this battle. And he addressed Arjuna by a specific name there. What was that name?
Sabyasachi. Sorry.
Sabyasachi. Okay. So one who can shoot arrows with both hands. So basically Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are quite skillful. However, though you should be using your skill in this battle, you should not become proud that you are doing everything there. You are just becoming an instrument. I have already done what is to be done, which means I have already killed these people. You are simply becoming an instrument. So don't become proud of that. So that's where we stopped. That was the lesson that we learned that day. The lesson is, Use your skills in God's service, but not with pride. Without God's help and arrangement, we cannot do anything nice. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, Sabyasachi, fight. But these people have already been killed by me. Now, following in the same theme, we will do one exercise now. This is just to, check our own understanding of Gita so far. So you remember the subject we were discussing last time, that basically the idea was Krishna has already a plan. The plan is there should be a battle, and in that battle, all the demoniac forces should assemble, and in one shot, I'll clean up all of them. Means I'll clean up the face of earth with all these demonic energies. I'll kill all of them. So this was Krishna's last winding up pastime. If you look at Krishna's time he spent on the planet Earth, right from his childhood, he was killing demons. So many demons he killed. In Vrindavan, he killed demons. In Mathura, he killed demons. In Dwarka, he killed demons. He had his devotees kill the demoniac kings. So that was one of his mission to come on planet Earth, to remove the demoniac forces. So Mahabharata war was the climax, the ultimate, cleansing of all these demonic forces by bringing them all together and in one war or battle, killing them all, finishing them all in just 18 days, complete wipe out. So that was Krishna's plan. And Arjuna was being just used as a puppet in that plan. So we understand that Krishna wanted this to happen. Arjuna had to just cooperate with Krishna's plan, right? So God has a plan, and we are supposed to be a part of that plan. And that's the understanding of a devotee, that I don't have to do something great. I don't have to do something extraordinary. I don't have to do something on my own. I just have to follow the path which has been already chalked out by Krishna. I just have to be on the path and do my part, my role I should play, right? So now here we have an interesting historical incident that we'll try to analyze. Gita in nuclear physics. In 1945, the first atomic bomb was tested. I don't know if you have read about it or heard about it or saw a video on it. So it was an experiment done by America, United States, and this device was detonated in a desert of New Mexico. It was being led by a group of scientists, and at that time, Robert Oppenheimer, who's known as the father of the atomic bomb, he got this title because of the successful detonation of the first atomic weapon. When he saw this blast, you can see this is a picture actually taken at that time. So when he saw this blast, the words that came out of his mouth were something like this: if the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst at once into the sky, that would be like the splendor of the Mighty One. Now, this statement which he spoke was inspired by his own reading of Bhagavad-gita. He was a student of Gita. He had in fact translated Gita into English himself, and from chapter 11, he is quoting Krishna's words, paraphrasing them and speaking the statement. Okay. Now, let's look at a short video of his, where he talks about that day when this incident happened. And he's remembering that day now, almost 20 years later in 1965. So what he says,
He knew the world would not be the same.
Are you not able to hear?
People laughed.
Voice is not clear, Prabhuji.
Few people cried.
Okay, voice is not clear. Wait a second then. Just give me a second.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad-gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
Okay, so it's a short video and it's not so clear, I can understand, but still I have later on also given the transcription of what is said in the slide, so you can read that. So in 1965, as I said, he made this comment. Now, what was the comment? Let me read that comment. I think then it will make more sense, right? So he said, when that bomb blasted, so he said that many people screamed, many people they smiled, and many people were just silent, and then from his mouth came the line, now I am become death, and that was something similar to Krishna speaking in Bhagavad-gita, kalosmi lokakshayakrit prabhitaha, time I am Arjuna, the destroyer of all. So he spoke this statement from Gita. So he spoke two things. One, looking at that effulgence, he said that this is a splendor of God, as bright as 1,000 suns, something what Krishna showed to the Prince Arjuna. And this woman will lead to death of people. So that is again a feature of God. Okay. So this shows that Oppenheimer, he was quite sharp in his intelligence and his mindfulness to relate to that experience, looking from the perspective of Bhagavad-gita. Now, what you are supposed to do here is, this is your task. I'll give you 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. I'll put you in groups and you have to discuss this amongst yourselves. Based on the above information about Oppenheimer, it is apparent that he was quite conscious of the words of the Bhagavad-gita. Would you call that Krishna consciousness? Second, did Oppenheimer, just like Arjuna, act as an instrument in the hands of Kal, eternal time? And third, if Oppenheimer did do a mistake in understanding the Gita, what was that mistake? Okay. So here we have given you a life situation, a real life situation. And you have to now analyze it based on your understanding of Gita so far and answer these 3 questions. I'm reading the question again. Based on the above information about Oppenheimer, it is apparent that he was quite conscious of the words of the Bhagavad-gita. First, would you call that Krishna consciousness? Second, did 𝗹𝗵𝗁, just like Arjuna, act as an instrument in the hands of Kal, eternal time? Third, if 𝗹𝗵𝗁 did do a mistake in understanding the Gita, what was that? Or if there was no mistake, you say there was no mistake. All right, so we give you 6 minutes. I think 6 minutes is good enough to discuss. So we give you 6 minutes to discuss this. Make sure you make group leaders. And at the end of discussion, you're going to give us the answers. So I'll put you in. Okay, let's put you in 6 groups. It's 6 minutes. Hare Krishna, please join.
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay, request the devotees to raise their hands, the group leaders. We had 6 rooms, so 6 people should be there. Ashok Prabhuji, virtually raise your hand, please. Okay, good. Fine. So, first question, would you call that Krishna consciousness? The group leaders, you can unmute yourself and say yes or no.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
No explanation, just yes or no, right?
No.
Number one, no.
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 Yes.
Okay, everyone says no here. All right. Okay. Why no?
Here,
He was doing the wrong. Anyone can answer me.
Yeah, Kavya Mataji, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, with the group discussion along with others, what we concluded is we cannot consider this as Krishna consciousness because he did the wrong thing and it was like it led to the destruction. So definitely that cannot be considered as the Krishna consciousness. It was not dharma side. It was not in the dharma side.
Okay. So first you say it was a wrong thing. Ashok Prabhuji, please mute yourself. You said it was a wrong thing. It was not on the side of dharma and it led to destruction. So just because it led to destruction, is it wrong? If that's the reason, because Mahabharata war also led to destruction.
But it was for dharma, right?
Okay, so it was for dharma.
Yeah.
So here in this case, it was not for dharma.
Prabhuji, can I say
Okay.
something?
Okay, fine. Yes, Anju Mataji.
Prabhuji, just by quoting Bhagavad-gita, it cannot be Krishna consciousness. Even for that matter, impersonalists also quote Bhagavad-gita without Krishna being in the center. Or even the materialists also quote Bhagavad-gita without being in the Krishna keeping Krishna in the center. So by any chance, the way he has quoted is not having Krishna in the center, so it cannot be Krishna consciousness. And it is not in the service of Krishna.
Okay. All right, fine. Anyone
Prabhuji,
else? Any other reason why is it not Krishna conscious? Nagaraj, sure.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. If in order to say this act of inventing and creating and detonating a nuclear bomb is done in Krishna consciousness, he should have done it in the spirit of devotion and spirit of service. Here, he is doing it because of his scientific curiosity to create something that can make the American government very powerful. So that's why I would say it was not done in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Good. Lokesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandar Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Oppenheimer didn't had a spiritual master, I guess, like he didn't have a spiritual master who can explain Bhagavad-gita to him, like what is Krishna consciousness, what is Bhagavad-gita. So he doesn't understand Bhagavad-gita very well and he just quoted it. So yeah, it's not Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you. Next question. So did Oppenheimer, just like Arjuna, act as an instrument in the hands of Kal, eternal time?
No.
No.
Yes.
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 How
No.
many say yes? Which group says? Kevin Prabhu said yes, and Nagaraj Prabhu, you also said yes?
Yes.
Okay. So you say that here, and others they say no. So Oppenheimer, he, like Arjuna, acted as an instrument in the hands of Kal, eternal time. Say yes. Okay, fine. Next, now the last question. If Oppenheimer did do a mistake in understanding the Gita, what was it? So we'll ask one by one, each one of you to give an answer to that. Start with Lokesh Prabhu. Yes.
He did not understand Bhagavad-gita. I would like to, Mahesh Prabhu was with us in the group. If he likes to continue, it will be best. He can explain better.
Okay, Mahesh Prabhuji, you got a chance to explain.
Okay, actually, he was, just by reading Bhagavad Gita or, Oppenheimer did not really understand Bhagavad Gita. He did, it was Oppenheimer's mistake only. First thing, he did not understand Bhagavad Gita. He just actually read it and then just wanted to compare it. So just by comparing, I would not say that he understood Bhagavad Gita. So even if he has read it, possibly he mistook it in the wrong sense. He quoted Bhagavad Gita, but he did it in the wrong sense. He misused it. So, yeah, so it was his mistake only. The mistake was that he just quoted it without knowing it fully well. So I would agree that it was a mistake and he did not understand Bhagavad Gita.
The question was, what was the mistake that he do? No problem. Next person, Ashok Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The third question, what mistake he did in understanding the Gita?
Oh, you are using two devices.
Okay,
Please
I'll
put off
exit from
the-
one. I'll exit from one.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Gita says that we should not try to become controller. He was trying to become controller. And as we said, we should not act, even if we have some power, we should not act out of pride. It was a proud moment for him when he says, with so many sons and thousands of sons, I have created this thing. Krishna said that I am the controller. He was trying to become controller. Krishna said proud, then again proud. Then message of Gita always says you act as per the spiritual master. He has no spiritual master. And there was no occasion that there was danger to humanity and he was acting in positivity. No, this was a negative attitude. Right from the beginning, he was trying to create a bomb which will destroy the world. Krishna was destroying the world, demoniac people. But he was trying to, without any purpose, he created a bomb to destroy the world. So according to us, this was not spirituality. This was not a devotee work. It was a demoniac act. So he had not understood the Gita properly.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, next, Kavya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So for third question, we can consider that he did not understand the Gita properly because the one quotation, one example what I can give is Krishna also opted for destruction of adharma, but he understood in a different way. So destruction only actually got connected to his mind. But whether it is dharma or adharma, he was not in a situation to understand. So he was ignorant.
All right, fine. Thank you. Anju Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam. Obviously, it was not. It was a great mistake in understanding Gita, because if we would have understood Gita, it would have been to do as directed in Gita. So killing on innocent people without any reason, or creating the bomb to kill people without any reason, is not Gita. Gita, the purpose of Lord's advent, the purpose of Lord's appearance was to kill the demoniac people, and it was not mentioned whether they will be using it to kill the demoniac people, and they were going to use it for their own purposes, to win situations, win countries, and that was not in accordance with Gita. And next, and also he thought himself to be as Arjun, but it was not like that. He thought himself to be a Kal, but it was not like that, because it's all under the guidance of Krishna that Arjun understood that he was an instrument in the hands of the Kal. And but this was not the understanding of the scientists. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kevin Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The mistake that Oppenheimer made is two mistakes. One is that his translation of the Gita wasn't in the nature of devotion. And the second mistake is that he was proud. He was comparing Bhagavad-gita, the slokas from Bhagavad-gita, to something that he thought he had created. So when he was looking at the bomb, he was looking at the splendor of it. He was very proud, and he was trying to compare it to God's splendor, that he had created something like this. So he was very proud, it's like Ashok Prabhu mentioned, of what he had created. And that is not in the spirit of Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you. But then you said yes for the second question.
Yes, so why I said yes for the second question is that one of the things we learned in this course is that nothing can be done without the will of the Lord. And if Krishna wishes, because to develop an atomic bomb is not something an ordinary person can do. So it must have some influence from Krishna in order to create such a devastating bomb. So my understanding, it is Krishna's will to have created that bomb, and Oppenheimer was an instrument, was used as an instrument to create that bomb. That is my understanding.
Okay. So I agree with that point that nothing can happen by Krishna's will. But the question says, did Oppenheimer, just like Arjuna, act as an instrument in the hands of Kal? So there is that. There are those three words, just as Arjuna.
No, not like Arjuna.
The question is not, did Oppenheimer act as an instrument in the hands of Kal? It is, did he act just like Arjuna?
No. Sorry, Prabhuji.
No.
He was not a devotee.
Yes, so he did not act like an Arjuna instrument like that. He was basically acting as an instrument in the hands of Krishna's illusory energy, right? Which everyone is in this world acting as, correct? So he acted as in the hands of Maya, but not like Arjuna, like a devotee, not like Arjuna. Okay, Srinivas Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanat Pranam Prabhu. Thank you for giving me a chance, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I can compare this with Aswadhama using the Brahmastra. Like, see, he's a Brahmana, he knows how to use it, but at the same time, he don't know what purpose he is using it. Now he has created atomic bomb, but he has to make sure whether the mistake is that he didn't make sure that the atomic bomb is used only for dharma. There he did a mistake. And then other thing is that he's in Maya, and then he's influenced by Kala, and he's quoting everything is representing to the Kala personified of Krishna.
Correct. Okay, fine. Navniti Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Will it be right to say that if he would have understood Bhagavad-gita, then he would have haven't created this nuclear bomb?
Okay, let's address that after this discussion is complete and come to your question, Mataji. Good question. Nagaraj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think what we have to think of here is we cannot compare what happened in Mahabharata as what Arjuna had to do or Arjuna did and what Oppenheimer did. If America was developing and Oppenheimer was developing a nuclear bomb in order to defend the righteous, in order to stop some other war, then we could have said, yes, this is being done for a good cause. That was not the purpose. The purpose here of creating this nuclear bomb was to be the most powerful in the world. So effectively here, Oppenheimer was acting as not as an instrument of Kala, but as an instrument, as a controller himself. He did not create the bomb because of scientific curiosity. He did not create the bomb because he was being forced to do that from some other force, some other authority. He was doing it because he knew he wanted to create something most powerful. And that's why I think he has understood the words of Bhagavad-gita, but he has not really understood the spirit of Bhagavad-gita. And he knew the possible purpose and consequences of this nuclear weapon. And that is why I would say he made a mistake in understanding Gita. But he quoted Gita because there was something that was similar to what he saw after detonating the bomb.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Okay, so now let me tell you the next part of the question, which I did not tell you, or next part of the information, which I did not tell you. So Oppenheimer, he was experimenting with this bomb. He even himself did not know that the bomb will be so disastrous. Oppenheimer was experimenting with this idea. This was their first experiment. So even they did not know that it will be so big. They had not expected that massive force, which they saw in front of their eyes. So after the bomb was detonated in the desert of New Mexico, Oppenheimer had written a letter to the US government that you are not going to use this bomb on humanity. So we tried to do something. We were experimenting with nuclear power. We found that nuclear energy is huge. It is massive. It can destroy a lot. But then you are not going to use it. So that was his take. However, despite his request or his appeal, the US government used it. They used it in the Second World War in Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That was the first, explosion. So they used it. And then after that, Oppenheimer resigned from the Department of Nuclear Studies. He said that I will not contribute to this department anymore. And after this incident happened in Japan, Oppenheimer lived a life of seclusion. He was very much depressed because he thought he had become the cause of death of so many innocent people. So he hardly spoke to anyone. He lived in seclusion. Sometimes he showed up for some public interviews, So he was quite repentant actually of what happened. he did not think it will go in that direction, but it went in that direction. Okay, so by understanding this, we do come to know that his original purpose was not exactly killing of people. His purpose was, we want to see how much power is there in nuclear, in science, how much power can be generated. So when he saw that blast, the only thing that he could compare that blast to was the Gita shloka that he had read. There was nothing in human experience that he could compare the blast to. Okay. So now the first question, do you call it Krishna consciousness? And all of you said no. Yes, it is not Krishna consciousness, but it is also Krishna consciousness. However, it is not favorable Krishna consciousness. There are two kinds of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness. One is favorable and there is unfavorable, right? So when we study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, we'll understand that one can think of God favorably and one can think of God unfavorably. Example, Kamsa, he was Krishna conscious, but not favorably. Because he was conscious of Krishna or things related to Krishna, right? So Oppenheimer was Krishna conscious to little extent, because he was able to recall those verses of Bhagavad-gita, So just because he was able to recall those verses of Gita, and Gita has connection to Krishna, so he is Krishna conscious to a little extent, but not really fully Krishna conscious or favorably Krishna conscious. Okay. Now, second question. Did he just like Arjuna act an instrument in Kal? So he acted as an instrument, but not like Arjuna. Because Arjuna, he acted as an instrument voluntarily with understanding that I'm doing it for the pleasure of Krishna, right? But Oppenheimer, it was just a speculation that this is going to be something good for humanity, but not really knowing whether it's good or bad for humanity, right? And the third question, what mistake did he do? The question was not that what mistake did he do in inventing the nuclear bomb. The question was, what mistake did he do in understanding Gita? All right. So the answer to that question is, he did not understand Gita by going to a spiritual master. That's why he did not understand Bhagavad-gita. He just read it on his own. So he could not catch the spirit of Bhagavad-gita, though he read the Bhagavad-gita, right? Could not catch the spirit of Bhagavad-gita, right? So he was comparing that incident to something from Bhagavad-gita because he had not understood the spirit of Bhagavad-gita. So that became a kind of an excuse that just like Arjuna was an instrument in the hands of Krishna, similarly here I am an instrument in the hands of God to make a powerful weapon like this, right? So this is how we understand all three things. Now, what was Naviniti Mataji's question?
Prabhuji, if he would have understood Gita, he wouldn't have created such a ghastly instrument, nuclear bomb.
No.
It would be correct to say this?
Yes, because he would not have created. Then someone else would have created. Krishna would not have used him to create.
But
Krishna would have used someone else.
I have another question here. While it's being utilized negatively, but there are many positive uses also of nuclear energy.
There are many positive uses of nuclear energy, but just because you have positive uses of anything, that doesn't make it something which will be sanctioned by Krishna. Positive in what sense? Is it positive in the sense that it can take us back to Godhead?
No.
No. So when you talk about material world, anything positive inside material world is again a relative idea. In absolute sense, there's nothing right about it. There's nothing right about it. Now, when you say there is positive use of nuclear energy, what are we using nuclear energy for?
It can be used to generate electricity without harming the environment the way other...
Okay, so then what will you do with electricity? Sense gratification.
No, listen to the classes of Krishna consciousness.
No, not needed to do that. No, this is not a plus point. This is because we are not Krishna conscious to the extent people were in the past. Somehow that we are making a compromise and using it. But this is not something which is needed, right? So if we say positive in what sense? Yes, these are plus points, but in what sense? It's not ultimately helping in the final goal of going back to Godhead, right? So if we read Prabhupada's purpose very deeply and thoroughly, we understand that the modern civilization, the modern technological advancement, all that, we may be using that in our practice of Krishna consciousness, but we are doing that not because actually it's needed, but because our conditioning is so strong that we cannot do without it. No, we cannot do without it. That's why we are somehow they're using it. But that's not something which is needed to become a devotee of Krishna. Right?
Correct.
So that's why, in absolute sense, it's of no use. No use. Okay, thank you. Anju Mataji.
Prabhuji, can we also say that nature has nothing as a waste? Nature never produces a waste. Nature's cycle is like that. The waste of one organism is a useful product for the other. So it's always in a cycle. But the waste created by the nuclear energy is very harmful for the nature. So
Correct.
it cannot be correct.
Correct. This cannot be. So more than the advantages, the nuclear energy or nuclear fuel, it causes so much of damage to the environment, right? So that's why it's not. People in the past also had this power, like the kind of Brahmastra which fighters or warriors used in the age of 𝗹𝗶 and before. But then those Brahmastras, they did not have they did not create this nuclear pollution, which the nuclear fuels that create now. So, and those Brahmastras were targeted on a specific individual, not targeted on innocent public, to kill them together without they being of any harm to the enemy. Yes. All right. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Please accept my humble obeisances. I want to add this question. Oppenheimer, after creating this nuclear weapon, and we know how the damage these nuclear weapons can do to kill thousands of people, to destroy a very masses of things. And after that, he was with regret. And with this regret, is he still going to be punished for what he did, or he's not going to be punished?
Good question. So his regret was there, but his regret was not sufficient. If he would have been truly regretful and totally repentant for what he has done, then in his life he would have definitely come across a devotee of Krishna, which would have given him chance to execute devotional service. Because without doing devotional service, we cannot become free from the reaction of all the sins that we have done. There's no other way. There is no other way of atonement. Means talking about even an ordinary individual who only does, very simple types of sinful activities, not so damaging sinful activities or harmful. Even they cannot become free from their reactions without practicing devotional service. So then imagine someone who making such a kind of big catastrophic, weapon and then not practicing devotional service, how can that person become purified? No. So repentance will definitely reduce the punishment, but it will not make it zero. Won't. Okay. However, if he by the association of, let's say, in any life, if that soul in the association of learned transcendentalists develops spiritual knowledge, then as we studied in chapter 4, you remember that transcendental knowledge was compared to fire, it was compared to a sword, it was compared to boat. So then it said that this knowledge will burn all the sinful reactions, right? So if that soul in some life comes across transcendental knowledge and develops that transcendental knowledge, then transcendental knowledge has the power to purify, right? It has the power to purify. Thank you. Neha Mataji.
Prabhuji, this is in continuation of Harneet Mataji's question. If electricity was not useful, how would we? How would we get in touch with you without electricity?
If electricity was not there,
we are bringing it to a good advantage that we are using electricity in learning Gita lessons.
Yeah, that is true. So, but let's say if there was no electricity, okay, and let's say there were no all these modern things available to us, then don't you think that you would have found a Gita teacher next door? And you did not have come for Zoom classes. You would have gone for live classes. A sadhu next door. That was the setup in the past. Now let's go 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Did they have electricity? No. But did they not have opportunities to be Krishna conscious?
They were more Krishna conscious than us.
More Krishna conscious than us. Right? Much more Krishna conscious than us. Isn't it? So when we look at these things, Srila Prabhupada always said, we are just making good use of the bad bargain. That's all. But because we are making good use of the bad bargain doesn't mean that that bad bargain has become something good. We're just making good use of it. Instead of using it for nonsense, we are using it for the right thing. Right? But that doesn't make that thing actually totally good. No, we're just using it like that. Isn't it? So you cannot replace physical presence in a class, in that spiritual sacred atmosphere, in the association of devotees, in front of the deity of Krishna, hearing Bhagavad-gita. You cannot compare that to online Zoom session. No, it's not comparable at all. So we are just making good use of it, but that doesn't mean that that thing is good in itself. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll give you a break. Meet you after the break. We'll continue our discussion.
Anything.
Hare Krishna. Welcome back. Okay, so now let's go to the next verse, which is 11.34. Dronam cha bhishmam cha jayadrathaṁ cha karnam tathanyān api yodha vīrān maya hatangsvam jahima vyatishṭha yudhyasva jetasi rane sapatnan. Translation goes like this. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. So Krishna has named here 4 warriors because Arjuna feared them the most. Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, Karna, and Jayadratha. Arjuna feared Jayadratha because though Jayadratha was not so powerful, but he had received a boon from Lord Shiva that once he can stop all the Pandavas in a battle, means he can defeat the Pandavas, he can stop them. So because of that, he was concerned, Arjuna. But Krishna, he mentioned here all these 4 warriors and told Arjuna that all of them will be killed in this battle. So don't be afraid. Don't have any concern. You will emerge victorious, like all the other soldiers will be killed on this battle. So Krishna gave him this confidence. Now let's look at the purport next. And this is where we understand again what was the mistake of Oppenheimer in trying to understand Bhagavad-gita. Surya Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Sadhana. Every plan is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is so kind and merciful to his devotees that he wants to give the credit to his devotees who carry out his plan according to his desire. Life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of spiritual master. The plans of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by his mercy, and the plans of the devotees are as good as his plans. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence. Haribol.
So Prabhupada has written here very clearly, life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of a spiritual master. For Arjuna, there was no need to have the medium of spiritual master because Krishna was standing right in front of him, right? But for those who do not have Krishna standing right in front of them and Krishna giving them a personal instruction, they must have a medium of spiritual master to approach Krishna. Otherwise, they will not be able to understand what Krishna wants. That will not be possible, right? So that was a mistake done by Oppenheimer. He did not see that thing. Now, this is a mistake which most of the people do when it comes to studying the scriptures. What they do is that they will, without actually knowing that they are doing a mistake, they commit the mistake. And what is that mistake? When they read a book, instead of taking every single statement from that book as something which is to be implemented in life, they'll choose and pick. And they'll say, okay, I'm going to implement this statement, but I'm not going to implement that statement. This I like, that I don't like. That's how people generally read or hear or learn, but they don't accept things in toto. But we cannot study a scripture like that. If we have to accept the scripture, we have to accept everything given in that scripture. Then it's going to contribute positively in our life. So Bhagavad-gita, if it says that Krishna or the universal form has Kal feature, and you can become an instrument in the hand of that Kal feature. So the same Gita also said in chapter 4, go to a spiritual master. Isn't it? So people will not do that, but then they will just take something else from Gita and say, we will do that only, that much only. It's not going to work. It's not going to work like that. It's just like just selecting a part of the prescription of the doctor is not going to cure us disease. We have to accept the whole prescription. Every single thing mentioned in the prescription has to be accepted. Same thing with the scriptures also. Next section. Now, in this chapter, after Arjuna has heard from Krishna that he is Kala feature, time, the destroyer of everything, Arjuna now begins to offer prayers to Krishna. So verses 35 to 46, total 11 verses, give these prayers of Arjuna. They are very instructive prayers, and the prayers are divided into 4 categories or 4 parts of the prayer. We'll see that in the table. So now Sanjaya, he begins to narrate to Dhritarashtra what happened next. Sanjaya uvacha etat shrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalirvepamanah kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sadgat-kadam bhita pranamya. So now Sanjaya is telling to Dhritarashtra that after, okay, let me show the shloka. This is the shloka which I just read. Etat shrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalirvepamana kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sadgat-kadam bhita pranamya. Verse number 11.35. So Sanjay is telling to Dhritarashtra, Etat Shrutva. So he said, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered obeisances with folded hands again and again. He fearfully spoke to Lord Krishna in a faltering voice as follows. No? Now, try to understand here one thing. Sanjaya is always trying to send an indirect message to Dhritarashtra, because he wants Dhritarashtra to understand this battle is not good, this war is not good, it's not good for anyone. So what he's doing now here, he has explained to Dhritarashtra the entire universal form as Arjuna saw, and now he's saying about Arjuna's response. How is he responding to that universal form? So he mentions here Arjuna by the name Kiriti. Kiriti refers to a crown, a golden crown, which was received by Arjuna when he had fought for the demigods. So his father Indra had given that crown to Arjuna, and wearing that crown, Arjuna had fought against the enemies of the demigods, whom the demigods could also not defeat, known as the, I think, 𝗪𝗵𝗁 or something like that. So he defeated them for the demigods. And then he got celebrated as someone who even fights for demigods and wins for them. So that Arjuna, who was not frightened looking at the enemies of the demigods, that Arjuna is now so frightened looking at the universal form. So what Sanjay is trying to 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗁, yes, sorry. So 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗁. So thank you, Prabhu. So Arjuna is afraid, and Sanjay is trying to tell Dhritarashtra that this Arjuna who causes terror in the hearts of his enemies, who wears a brilliant celestial helmet given to him by Indra because he defeats Indra's enemies, Arjuna, who is so powerful, that Arjuna is standing in the state of fear in front of the universal form. So Dhritarashtra, if Arjuna is terrified looking at this form, how much terrified Kauravas will be when they will face death, because this form is death. This form is death. So how much terrified they will be. So you should again, if if you want, you have time. Change your decision, right? So basically, he's trying to say that if Kauravas happen to see this universal form, they would pass water in their pants. They would be so scared because Arjuna is so scared, and he's Kiriti. He's someone who fought for the demigods. Okay, so after he speaks like that, then we hear the prayers of Arjuna, which is 11 verses divided into 4 subparts. So the prayers for study purpose, we analyze them and divide them into 4 parts: glorification, obeisances, apologies, requests. In first 3 verses, Arjuna glorifies Krishna. Then in 2 verses, Arjuna offers obeisances to Krishna. Then in next 4 verses, he apologizes to Krishna. And finally, in 2 verses, he makes requests to Krishna. Request means, okay, now can you please do this for me? Generally, people, if they want anything from someone, they'll just go and ask, I need this. No courtesy, nothing. Nothing, just go and ask. But here Arjuna is showing, if you want to ask someone something, there is a way to ask. There is an etiquette of asking, So, and if you are asking to someone from whom you cannot demand, that person will give at his or her mercy, then you have to approach that person in a humble attitude. So he is first glorifying Krishna, he is then begging for forgiveness from Krishna, then finally is telling Krishna what he wants, what he desires, is requesting for that, right? So let's look at the glorification now. We'll read the verses first, the Sanskrit verses. Arjuna uvacha sthane rishikesha tava prakirtaya jagat prahishyati anurajyate cha rakshangshi bhitani disho dravanti sarve namasyanti cha siddha sangaha. Next. Kasmachate-na namarein mahatman gariyase brahmanopi adikartre ananta devesha jagan nivasa tamaksharam sad asatatparam yat. 48. Tvam adidevah purushah puranas tvamasya vishvasya param nidhanam Vetasi vetyam cha param cha dhama tvaya tatam vishvamananta rupa. So in this 4 verses, 3 verses, Arjuna has first glorified Krishna's universal form. So he says, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. So looking at the universal form, Arjuna is now describing that there are 2 ways people are seeing this universal form. This universal form has its pleasant side and also it has its fearful side. Means some attractive features are there in the universal form which are nice to see, and some horrible features are there which are not at all nice to see. So why the universal form is showing these 2 features? Just like you remember, the universal form showed sun and moon as the eyes. Similarly, here the universal form is showing these 2 features for 2 kinds of living entities. For the demigods, who are obedient to the Supreme Lord and his rules and laws, the universal form appears as a pleasant sight. But for those who are the demons, Rakshasas, Asuras, Danavas, for them the universal form appears to be very, very horrifying, unpleasant, cruel, just like death. So an example can be given in this regard, that the thief will always feel some kind of fear in the presence of police officer. Will be very scared. Even if that thief had not stolen on that particular day, still the thief will be scared, because the thief will think, perhaps if the police will catch me, then I have to go to jail. But those who are law-abiding citizens, even if the police officer is walking around, they are not at all concerned. He is doing his job. Why should I be afraid? I have not done anything wrong. Similarly, for those who follow the rules made by Krishna, for them, the universal form of Krishna's any feature doesn't cause fear. But for those who break the laws made by God, for them, the universal form appears to be very, very fearful. So Arjuna is making that point here, right? Let's read the purport now. Paramita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Arjuna, after hearing from Krishna about the outcome of the battle of Kurukshetra, became enlightened. And as a great devotee and friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said that everything done by Krishna is quite fit. Arjuna confirmed that Krishna is the maintainer and the object of worship for the devotees and the destroyer of the undesirables. His actions are equally good for all. Arjuna, Prabhuji, could you please scroll it up? Arjuna understood herein that when the battle of Kurukshetra was being concluded, in outer space there were present many demigods, siddhas, and the intelligentsia of the higher planets, and they were observing the fight because Krishna was present there. When Arjuna saw the universal form of the Lord, the demigods took pleasure in it, but others, who were demons and atheists, could not stand it when the Lord was praised. Out of their natural fear of the devastating form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they fled. Krishna's treatment of the devotees and the atheists is praised by Arjuna. In all cases, a devotee glorifies the Lord because he knows that whatever he does is good for all. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Next verse. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. Okay, let's read this. Tina Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. All must respect Krishna. Arjuna also thought that it was fitting that all the perfect living entities and powerful demigods offer their respectful obeisances unto him, because no one is greater than him. Arjuna specially mentions that Krishna is greater than Brahma because Brahma is created by him. Brahma is born out of the lotus stem grown from the navel in the abdomen of 𝗪𝗵𝗿 Vishnu, who is Krishna's plenary expansion. Therefore, Brahma and Lord Shiva, who is born of Brahma, and all other demigods must offer their respectful obeisances. Hare Krishna.
So what is happening now? You see, this is what Arjuna is telling here is something what he is seeing in the sky, in that vision that he's seeing that the demigods are standing there, Shiva is there, Brahma is there, Indra is there, and they're all again and again bowing down to this universal form. So when he sees that going on, he's not surprised, he's not shocked, he's not thinking, why are these people all bowing down to this form? Because now he's aware of Gita's knowledge. He knows that Krishna's position is supreme, and therefore everyone should bow down to Krishna. If they don't bow down to Krishna, or if they are not bowing down to Krishna, Arjuna would be surprised. Why are you not bowing down to Krishna? Come on, you should bow down. He is the Supreme Lord, right? Not bowing down is abnormal. Bowing down is nothing abnormal. That is normal. That's how it should be. So he is appreciating that and is enjoying that. Why is he enjoying that? Because he's Krishna's friend. So when Krishna is being respected, Arjuna is happy that Krishna deserves this respect, and all the demigods are respecting you. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that you are being respected. Okay, so Arjuna is not amazed. So because anyone who is small must offer respect to those who are great. That is the etiquette. That's the etiquette. When someone who is small is not offering respect to someone who is great, then that person is not in the right mind. And that person is proud. That person doesn't understand the culture, right? So because Arjuna loves Krishna, Arjuna is rejoicing in Krishna's glory. He's happy for Krishna, that Krishna is getting so much respect. And he's saying, yes, you should be respected. You must be respected by everyone. Okay, now next verse, then he's talking about how Krishna is the source of all and is all-pervading. Tvam Adidevaha Purushah Puranas Tvamasya Vishvasya Param Nidhanam Vetasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dhama Tvaya Tatam Vishvamanantarupa. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes, all limitless form. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Okay. Now from next verse, then begins the next section, which is offering of obeisances. Arjuna now begins to offer obeisances, and is not offering obeisances once, he is offering obeisances multiple times, again and again, again and again. So why is he offering obeisances? He saw, Indra is offering obeisances, Shiva is offering, Brahma is offering, and I'm standing like this, I should also offer, So then he also goes down and offers obeisances to Krishna, because if they are offering, who am I not to offer to Krishna obeisances? So with that mind, he starts offering obeisances. So this is how a devotee is. A devotee is never shy to offer respects to other devotees or to offer respects to Supreme Lord Krishna. If we feel shy to offer respect to Krishna in front of others, then we are not devotee. We should not feel shy. There's nothing to feel shy about it. So we should be offering respects to Krishna, and we should be offering respects to our spiritual masters, to great acharyas, no matter what, who is around us, who is not around us. So they deserve that. They deserve that. And if we are convinced about it, we should be doing it. We should be doing it. I know, there are some places, public places, where it's quite embarrassing, but I've seen in airports, in all those places also, when sannyasis come, then devotees go right on the floor. They're flat on the floor, full dandavat, even in such places. They are not shy. Oh, we will let the sannyasi come to our house, then we'll go down on the floor. No, right in the airport, right in public places, sometimes right on the road, in the street, So they offer obeisances. So, and there's nothing to be shy about it, because let's say if Krishna comes in front of us right now and we are standing in front of some shop, we'll not tell Krishna, let's go inside the shop, there I offer obeisances to you. No, at that moment you have to offer respects. So when one is not convinced about one's small position and the Lord's great position, one feels hesitation. But when one is convinced that I'm small, what's the harm in offering obeisances, offering respects? There's no harm. Let the world think whatever they think, right? There's nothing wrong that I'm doing. When I was in college, many times our juniors used to ask this question to us, Prabhuji, I feel shy chanting in front of everyone. I feel shy putting tilak in front of everyone, kantimala, doing this, doing that. So then I used to say, so many boys are there in our college. They don't feel any shame in doing all the nonsense that they're doing in the public. So why should you feel any kind of shame or shyness to do the right thing? They are smoking in the public, they're drinking in the public, they are roaming around with girls in the public, they are doing all nonsense. They are very bold, they are very convinced that whatever they are doing is right. They don't feel shy. So why should a devotee feel shy if he or she is doing the right thing? A devotee should also not feel shy, should be confident that this is right thing and I'm doing the right thing. So Arjuna is now paying obeisances again and again, again and again. Verse number, Vayur yamognir varunaha shashankaha prajapatistam prapitamahascha namo namaste stu sahasra kristvaha punascha bhuyopi namo namaste. You are air and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times and again and yet again. So he's saying 1,000 is less, so let me offer again. No problem. Because you are so great, let me offer again and again and again and again. Next verse. Namaha purastat atha prishtataste namostude sarvata eva sarva ananta viryamita vikramastvam sarvam samapnoshi tatosi sarvaha. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything. So Arjuna is basically just speaking the same what he heard from Krishna, but now he's speaking based on his realization. What he's seeing, he's speaking on the basis of that. Next section, apologies. Arjuna is going to apologize now to Krishna because he thinks he has done big mistakes. He did not know that Krishna is this kind of God, the Supreme Lord who is death, who kills everyone. So looking at this ferocious form of the Lord, he's afraid now. He has forgotten that this personality is my friend. He's thinking, how can I be friend with death? Death cannot be my friend. So I have done big mistakes being with Krishna and, sometimes joking with Krishna, sometimes insulting Krishna, making fun of Krishna in front of others. So now he starts to apologize. And these shlokas are very beautiful. So first he says, please forgive me. Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanata mahimanam tavedam maya pramadat pranayena vapi. So he's saying, Sakheti matva, Sakha iti matva, thinking you to be my Sakha, my friend. Prasabham yad uktam, I called you Krishna in a very careless manner. What did I call you? I call you Hey Krishna. I call you Hey Krishna. I should have called you Shri Krishna because you are Bhagavan. You are respectful. You are to be respected. But instead of saying Shri Krishna, I just said, Krishna, come here. Krishna, let's go. I would instruct you. I would call you. I never respected you. I never spoke your name with respect. So you know this. It's a matter of culture that you call the names of those who are elderly to you with respect, right? Isn't it? So of course, in India, this is commonly taught. In West also, of course, this is taught, but nowadays you don't see it so much in West. They even call their own parents with their parents' name, right? If they have to call their father, instead of saying father or instead of saying dad, they will say, Mr. John, can you please come here? So that's the culture you find in the West. But in India, we know anyone who is elderly to you, you don't call that person by name. At least in front of that person, you don't call that person by name. right? In absence of that person, you may, but in front of that person, no. And then you add some prefix or suffix to it. You will add suffix like G, and in prefix you'll say Shri, Shriman, Shrimati, or something like that, So you show greater respect. In Hindi, if someone is superior, you don't say tum, then you say up. In Hindi, we have that, but in English, it's just you for senior, you for junior, you for equal, everyone is you, right? But in Hindi, it's not like that. So you address that person with respect. So Arjuna is saying, I should have called you Shri Krishna, but instead of that, I call you Krishna only. Next, he's saying, Hey Krishna, hey Yadava. I call you Yadava. And I call you this because I wanted to show to you that you are belonging to a dynasty which is under our dynasty. Yadu dynasty was huge, powerful, but they were not the emperor of the world. The emperor of the world was from Kuru dynasty. So the kings of Yadu dynasty, they functioned under the throne of Hastinapur. So Arjuna used to tell Krishna, I belong to the emperor dynasty. You belong to a subservient king dynasty. So in that way, he would call him Yadava. And then finally, hey Yadava, hey Sakheti, I would call you as my friend. But actually, it's not that you are my friend. I am your friend. I forgot that. So in this way, he's begging forgiveness from Krishna that please forgive me. I did something wrong. Ajanata mahimanam tavedam. Now he's saying, why did I speak like that? Because I had not known your mahima, your glory. I had not known who you are. I had not known. And then in the last line, it's very sweet. He says, maybe I spoke like that because I love you too much. So when you love someone very much, there's a lot of intimacy, then all these formalities of respect don't matter, right? So he says, either I love you too much, or he's saying the next word is pranayena vapi, or I'm a mad person. So there can be only two reasons. Either I love you a lot, or I'm mad. So that's why I did not know how to speak to you. But in any case, whether I love you so much or I'm mad, what you do? Please forgive me. Whatever will be the case, you forgive me. That's what I'm requesting from you. So this is Arjuna's prayer request here. So now you can see what a good style he has taken to ask for forgiveness. He's not just saying, Krishna, I'm sorry. No, that sorry is so beautifully presented. That person who hears the sorry will feel like forgiving you. Sometimes people say sorry, but the person who hears the sorry doesn't feel like forgiving the person, because the sorry is not said in that way, isn't it? But here Arjuna is saying the sorry in such a sweet way. Says, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I spoke wrongly to you. Okay, let's read the purport. Kavya Mataji. Okay, let me first read the translation. Then you read the purport. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. Then next shloka, let me just chant that Sanskrit also. Yachavahasartham satkritosi vihara shayyasana bhojaneshu ekotavapyachyuta tat samaksham tat shamayetam aham aprameyam. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all my offenses. Okay, let's read the purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Although Krishna is manifested before Arjuna in his universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna and is therefore asking pardon and requesting Krishna to excuse him for the many informal gestures which arise out of friendship. He is admitting that formerly he did not know that Krishna could assume such a universal form, although Krishna explained it as his intimate friend. Arjuna did not. Can you scroll up? Arjuna did not know how many times he may have dishonored Krishna by addressing him, "Oh my friend, oh Krishna, oh Yadava," etc., without acknowledging his opulence. But Krishna is so kind and merciful that, in spite of such opulence, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Such is the transcendental, loving reciprocation between the devotee and the Lord. The relationship. Uh, The relationship between the living entity and the Krishna is fixed eternally. It cannot be forgotten, as we can see from the behavior of Arjuna. Although Arjuna has seen the opulence in the universal form, he cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Now, the topic which has been described by Sripad in the purpose is out of the scope of discussion when we are studying Gita. We'll discuss this when we study Nectar of Devotion. So, but what I would like to point out here is when Arjuna says, "I again and again dishonored you." So what used to happen is sometimes Krishna in front of many other people would say, "I did this, I did that." And then Arjuna would, just in joking manner, because he was his friend, he would say, "And Krishna, you also ran away from the battlefield. Why don't you tell that? And as a child, you also stole butter. Why don't you tell that? And I heard that you were so naughty, you stole girls' garments. Why don't you tell that? Why don't you tell that also, Krishna?" So in this way, in public place, in family gatherings, Arjuna would make fun of Krishna, pull his leg basically, like we do with our friends. So he would pull Krishna's leg, and boast, and he would say, "Krishna, you have a record of running from a battlefield. I don't have any such record, so I'm a greater fighter than you." So he would say such things, because as a friend, you can speak like that. And he would sit on the same bed, you would eat together. Now, you do that only with people who are equal to you. You don't do that with people who are superior to you. You don't sit with them, you don't eat with them, right? If they sit on the chair, you'll sit on the floor, right? Or you'll keep standing, right? So Arjuna is saying, "But I did not observe these etiquettes. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I did not know that you are Bhagavan, you are God. That much great God you are. I did not know." Next verse. Okay. Next verse is "Itasi lokasya characharasya tamasya pudyascha gurur gariyan natvat samosti abhyadhika kutonyo lokatray api apratima prabhava." You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? And the next verse, 44. "Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvamaham isham ilyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyuho priya priyayarhasi deva shodhum." You are the supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. I may have done you. Please tolerate the wrongs. So here he's again telling Krishna that you forgive me and you tolerate me. I might be wrong, but then because you have a relationship, you tolerate me on the basis of that relationship. And he gives a corollary. He says, just like the father tolerates the son, sometimes when the son grows up, he becomes disobedient to the father. Or he may sometimes have a verbal fight with the father. He may sometimes disrespect the father. But the father, what does the father think? Let him be like that. After all, he's my son, The father forgives. The father tolerates. Similarly, sometimes we may not like a particular remark of our friends. We may not like how our friend behaved with us. But when you think about all the good things that has been done by your friend, then you consider it's okay, chalta hai, no problem. This person has done so much good things to me. So once if it told me something wrong or something bad, it's okay. I can forgive. I can do away with that. And same thing, same in husband-wife relationship also. That sometimes the husband may speak harsh words to the wife, or sometimes wife may speak harsh words to the husband. But that's okay. They may be angry with each other. But then later on, when they think about all the good moments they have spent with each other and the sacrifices they have made for each other, they let it go. It's okay. They forget. They tolerate and forget. So Arjuna is saying, similarly, Krishna, you please tolerate me. So here is an interesting story, actually, I would like to tell. Once a devotee came to meet Srila Prabhupada, and that devotee was again and again complaining about another devotee, that this devotee is doing this wrong, that wrong. He doesn't have any good quality. He's doing so many mistakes, and on and on and on. So Srila Prabhupada heard for some time, and then Prabhupada said, you are senior, you are sincere, you are more mature, you are like an elder brother. So why don't you tolerate? Why don't you tolerate? So that devotee said, no, Prabhupada, but this is too much. I cannot tolerate this person. So then Prabhupada said, you should tolerate that person the same way I am tolerating you. So I am tolerating you, so you should also tolerate that person. So he said, just like I'm accepting all the mistakes that you are doing, you should also accept that person, because you are my son, I tolerate you, so that person is your brother, you should tolerate him. As simple as that, right? And then this happened many times. So why Krishna tolerates us? Because Krishna thinks, after all, you all are my children. You may be very wrong. You might have committed so many sinful activities. There are so many souls who are demoniac in nature, but after all, they have come from Krishna. They belong to Krishna. So Krishna tolerates them, right? So that's why Arjuna is speaking to Krishna, that where will I go? I cannot go to anyone else to beg for forgiveness. So you please forgive me and you tolerate me. So this is a very important principle to understand in any of our relationship with devotees, with relatives, friends, even with Bhagavan, Krishna. What is that? That a humble soul learns to tolerate, because such a soul understands that he or she is also being tolerated by many around us. That person is also being tolerated. So a humble soul begins to tolerate, which means a person is not a perfectionist, that everyone around me should be a perfectionist, perfect person, because a person who any person, genuine person understands, I also have so many flaws. I'm also not perfect. So similarly, I should also not expect others to be perfect around me. I do mistakes, they can also do mistakes, right? I'm not always right, so they will also be sometimes wrong. So just as they don't throw me out of their life, similarly, I should also not throw them out of my life. So understanding that a mature person will tolerate, and will go on. Okay, so Arjuna made that statement, and now he's requesting. Okay, did we read the purport of this verse? No, we did not. Okay, that's
no, we
okay.
didn't.
Small purport you can read on your own. Let's go to the next one, request. Now Arjuna makes a request. That's the final section of this section. So what is his request? Next verse, he says, Adrishta purvam hirshitosmi drishtva bhayena cha pravyatitam manome tad eva me darshaya deva rupam prasida devesha jagannivasa. So he's saying, after seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before. I am gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear, Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Right? So, Arjuna had requested Krishna to show the universal form. Krishna had not imposed upon Arjuna that I will show you the universal form. It was Arjuna's request. But sometimes, you go to a restaurant and then you order for something which you have never tried before, and you think it will be so nice, the name is so good, it looks so good, right? But when you order it and you taste the first spoon of that particular preparation, and your face goes so bad as you have never eaten anything like that, then what do you feel like? Waste of money. Order kar diya, right? Now either you have to throw it, order something new. Means it was a bad experience. It was a bad decision. Correct? So Arjuna is also thinking something like that. Why did I ask to show this form? Now I'm not really enjoying looking at this form. Okay, for some moments it was fun, but now it is no longer any fun. Now this is becoming very, very unpleasant. So he's telling Krishna, it's okay. I'm happy that you showed this to me, but please, Krishna, bahut ho gaya. Now it's too much. Please, please remove this form. I don't want to see it anymore. So again, reveal your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Please show your form again. So Arjuna, as I mentioned, he is thanking Krishna, very kind of you that you showed me the form as I asked, but I'm disturbed. So you please take it away. Okay, let's read the purport. Okay. Dhananjay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend. And as a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence. Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful and universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus, his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he has no reason to fear. Arjuna, therefore, is asking Krishna to show his Narayana form because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayan. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them, Krishna is present by his planetary manifestations of different names. Thus, Arjuna desired to see one of his forms manifested in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Narayana is 4-handed, but the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols: the conch shells, mace, lotus, and disc. According to the different hands these 4 things are held in, the Narayanas are various named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his 4-handed feature.
Yes. Thank you. Now here we have a good lesson to learn from Arjuna, something which you'll also find in Srimad Bhagavatam. Arjuna as a person is demonstrating this quality, and he has demonstrated it many a times. When our mind is disturbed by fear, what do? You can remember some incidents from your life, how you reacted in such a situation, which is traumatic, very painful, alarming. How do we react in such situations? Do we often freak out? Do we get impulsive? Mostly people, yes. They start screaming, shouting, sweating, the blood pressure goes up, right? But what lessons do we learn from Arjuna's behavior as demonstrated herein? You look at this particular experience of Arjuna, then you also in Srimad Bhagavatam I mentioned there are other incidents mentioned there. What lessons do we learn from Arjuna's behavior? That though he is frightened, at the same time he's very sober. In Sanskrit, there is a word called dhira. Dhira means a person who is very sober, grave, So though problems are around that person though may be affected, but that person is not totally shaken up or uprooted in such situations, right? And Arjuna is like that. And that quality comes in anyone who becomes a devotee of Krishna. A devotee of Krishna will have this beautiful quality of being dhira, very, very sober, very sober. They will not get panicked easily, because they are deep. Their consciousness is very deep, not shallow. So we'll learn that from Arjuna here. You see, he is frightened. And the only thing that he wants to tell Krishna is, please change this form back to the normal form. But before that, he could so peacefully, and so beautifully compose Sanskrit verses to glorify Krishna. He also could find some time to bow down to Krishna. Also, he could find some time to beg for forgiveness from Krishna. And then he's making the request. He's not being impulsive. He's not running away from there, right? Though he's frightened. So this quality is called soberness, dhira. And this dhira quality or dhairya comes from dhairya. It comes in anyone who becomes a devotee, advanced in consciousness, right? They will not easily freak out in situations because the amount of bodily consciousness is, if a pure devotee, then zero. If not a pure devotee, still the amount of bodily consciousness is not so much, right? They are fixed in the knowledge that I'm spirit soul, I'm Atma. So they don't panic much. This is something which we can learn from Arjuna here. And in future, if you study Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll find same qualities are demonstrated by Arjuna in many places. Okay, next verse. Now he's describing the form that he wants to see. So he's saying, Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam ichchami tvam drashtumaham tathaiva tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhava vishvamurte. So he's saying, now I want to see your chaturbhuja roop, four-armed form, right? Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. Prabhupada. Snehal Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 5.39, it is stated, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Rama, Narasimha, Narayana, etc. There are innumerable forms, but Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayana, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. This is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of the material world. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. So he is asking Krishna to switch from 1,000-armed form Vishwarupa to 4-armed form or Vishnu Rupa, the beautiful form with conch shell, disc, lotus flower, and club in his 4 hands. So we'll stop here now. Any questions or comments? Why did you not want to see the 2-armed form? That will come tomorrow. Don't worry. We will see that also. Okay, Srinivas Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanam Pranam Prabhuji. This universal form, because Arjuna and Krishna are on the chariot, and where it happened, they get down, it's irrelevant, but out of curiosity, I'm asking, they are out of the chariot or they are on the chariot? And second thing is the universal form, when he's showing universal form, the Krishna is already present there simultaneously, or is not there?
So Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, I think you missed. Can you mute yourself? I think you missed to read that. Prabhupada says Krishna is on the chariot, Arjuna is on the chariot, and Krishna is showing the universal form. Okay, so it was on the chariot itself. They didn't have to go to some private place to show that form to Arjuna, right? Same place, at the same place, sitting on that chariot. Arjuna saw everything. First. Second, did Arjuna see Krishna also at that time? So yes and no. Yes, in the sense, because Krishna showed the universal form. Universal form includes everything. So there was also Krishna there, right? However, Krishna was not present as a prominent character there. Just like when you take a picture, sometimes in these new phones, you can blur the surrounding and you can have one object prominently focused on. Correct? Right? So then that object becomes the focus, everything becomes blurred. So similarly, Krishna, when the universal form was not shown to Arjuna, Krishna was there standing in front of Arjuna as a very prominent person. But when that universal form was seen by Arjuna, then Arjuna was not able to see Krishna like that, because everywhere he was able to see all these different, you can imagine the legs and arms and bellies and mouths, So he was lost in all of that, right? He was lost in all of that. He was not seeing the other warriors standing on the battlefield. He was not seeing his own horses. He was not seeing Krishna exactly the way he was seeing Krishna before, Rather, he was seeing all those things in the sky, the flame coming out of the mouth and the warriors entering into the mouth of different faces in the universal form. Getting it?
Also, Prabhuji, he was seeing what his mind was, how his mind was functioning, the way his mind was functioning, right? I mean, the conscious form of Krishna was manifesting.
Yeah, means you are trying to say that he was seeing what he wanted to see. Based on his desire. Based on what he wanted to see. Yes, that is true. So Krishna, he was not seeing Krishna exactly the way before Krishna was present in front of him. Okay. Why he was not seeing Krishna? Because Krishna had given him a different vision, no? So now if I change, let's say if I change the glasses of someone, then what the person was seeing before, will that person see the same thing? No, now he'll see something else, right? He will see something else. So now Arjuna wants a change of vision. That's why he's asking Krishna, please, can you change? Okay. In the painting, it is showed that he's seeing Krishna, or Krishna is sitting in front of him. But that is just in demonstration. Actually, it was not like that. We cannot do a two-dimensional justified painting of universal form. Right? Whatever we painted is just some sort of description or imagery of universal form. You cannot really show it on a two-dimensional canvas, how the universal form was, how was it shown to Arjuna, isn't it? Okay, yes, Prabhu. Ashok Prabhu.
Prabhuji, my question is, it is written in the purport, universal form is a temporary form. And temporariness is the quality of the material things. So Krishna's universal form, it is called material or spiritual?
Krishna's universal form is both material and spiritual. How? It is material because it is temporary. Temporary means what? It manifests when the material creation manifests. It unmanifests when the material creation unmanifests. Just like Prakriti, we studied in Introduction to Bhagavad-gita. How is Prakriti? Prakriti manifests and unmanifests, right? So similarly, it is material. But why is it spiritual? Because anything connected to Krishna is spiritual, if you see from Krishna's perspective.
Okay. Thank you.
From Krishna's perspective, everything is spiritual, no? So in that way, it is spiritual.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Thank you for the beautiful class. I've really enjoyed this class today. I'm talking about the forms of Krishna. Please, is it possible, if you have the time, then you can post the 10 avatars of Krishna with their names and little explanation about the activities of them. Because I saw these 10 pictures of the Krishna I have here in my wall, but I have no idea about their names. Few of them like Nrsimhadev, Ramayan, and the rest, but the rest I don't know their names and the explanation to give to them. If you can post
So
that.
I will ask some other devotee. Someone can help with that. You just have to find the names of the Dashavatars and a small description about them and put in the Bhakti Sastri discussion group for David Prabhu. Someone can do that? It's a very simple thing.
Yes, Prabhu, I'll do.
Okay, thank you, Sureka Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you so much.